can hustle in many ways. There's two cats in high school.
This is the coldest fucking thing that's going on the wall. These the realest niggas out there.
You already know.
Like, for real, like, this.
God, I go off the mentality of the woman. And I know if I know my woman.
Smart dummy!
Let's go! Welcome. This is the Smartest Dumb People, and I'm the host, Anthony That Dude Johnson. And always, it's going to be somebody at school with me. Today we got Coley Cole, my co-host in the building. We got a special guest. She goes by the name of Maurtice Ivy. Thank you for coming through, Queen. We appreciate you so much. Nicole said before the show started that I was nervous. I'm going to tell you, I'm nervous because of multiple things. First off, this woman is a staple in the community. She does a lot with the community, been doing it for 20 plus years. She's a hooper, she's an activist, she's everything. So Maurtice, welcome to the show, Queen. I appreciate you. Cole, you go ahead and point guard this because you know all about basketball. We wanted to start with the conversation of Caitlin Clark. It's been all over media. I just don't like Caitlin Clark. I did at first. But I'm starting not to.
But before we go there, we cannot have a legend in our building and not hear what is going on and all the good things that she has going on.
Let's do that.
And not only is she a legend, she's a Hall of Famer.
Yes, she is.
You know what I'm saying? So
we
got big time in the stadium with us today.
We do.
So
we do.
you know, welcome, Queen.
Thank you.
So just tell us what you got going on. First of all, tell us who you are, where you from, who your peoples, what's good with you.
Also, Maurtice Ivy, born and raised Omaha, Nebraska, and proud, and so working on a few little things. Ivy League, so we are currently housed at Nathan Hale, where Ivy League runs, and so we got our volleyball program going on right now as we speak, and so hopefully we'll have an opportunity to kind of hang out in that space with us. Basketball is coming up in May. Ivy League basketball is coming up in May. So 4th through 8th grade girls get registered for that. We rolled out golf this year for Ivy League, and we have soccer. So we have 4 programs going on for Ivy League, all training development. I feel like that's the niche. Do a lot of league play, but I feel like nobody's focusing on the training development aspect. Like our babies need to work on their crafts. Can't bring your 4th grade game to your 5th grade year, you know, so you got to be able to put some gym time in. So we're putting that work in here in Ivy League, just kind of working on that foundational stuff. And then low key finishing up my doctorate degree.
Nice.
So
Congratulations.
I, got maybe about 2 or 3 months, 2024, let me just say 2024, Dr. Ivy be in the house.
Nice.
So
what's the degree?
Education.
Okay.
Education and leadership, for sure. So, thinking about the professor space, college, university space, maybe AD, some, so just kind of, organically things are going to happen. But I mean, there's some things, some platforms that I want to be on that I feel like can use my voice, at this time, in this hour, in this climate.
You still do the 3-on-3 tournaments?
I don't. You know what? I stopped doing that, and we've kind of evolved, and we do Ivy League now. And so 3-on-3, I did that for like 9 years, obviously down at the Bryan Center, which was amazing, right?
Yeah.
And so needed. That was our version of hoop it up.
up.
You know what I mean?
That's what I said.
So that was fantastic. I think over that 9-year window, what happened was that the dynamics of the community changed. And so safety became more of an issue than us having fun. And that was unfortunate, where I had to start spending money for security more so than I could spend on the awards and making sure everything was good. And then I had an opportunity to coach on the collegiate level.
Gotcha.
So I got the assistant coaching position at UNO. And it was an NCAA violation because I had the open session with the older men and women, and I was paying. And so I couldn't give out cash prizes. And so they said, well, you can eliminate that and still run it, or you can't run it. Otherwise, it's an NCAA violation. So it was some different things that were going on. I hated that, we had to, but we ended on a positive note. And I'm looking at two of the tournament of champions here that hooped in the 3-on-3. So, I mean, that blesses me, right?
Yeah.
So,
I still remember, I was just talking to one of my players that we played in the 3-on-3, and we played Renee, Coach Jay, and I can't remember who the other one, but Y'all like all 6 feet tall, but we were we were so excited just to play against y'all. You know, it was an inspiration. You couldn't play.
Yeah,
no, you couldn't play because you was running table.
You talking about Jessica?
Yeah,
Okay.
Coach J. Yeah, and then I had just got my fresh white J's, and you had tart black. I was like,
Why would you wear them then? Why would you wear them then?
I didn't know she was tarting the. So you know with Jordans, every time you get a Jordan, we was fresh.
I forgot you
But no, and then it was like one of my first pair. I wasn't a huge Jordan fan, but when I got my phone, I was
And I'm trying, I was trying.
I had a mean mixtape from Maurtice Ivy League, and it's lost in my mama's basement somewhere, and I'm dying to show my lady because my lady don't believe I was good as I was in basketball. I'm having trouble sitting in the seat, man. I'm fat. I ain't gonna lie. We just said we was gonna start working out, and I'm telling you, I'm so uncomfortable. It's unbelievable. But go ahead, Cole.
So, what you was saying that you also coached on the collegiate level.
I did.
Yeah, and then what drives you to still work with young people? I mean, you have so many accolades, so many things that you do. Like, why young people?
Well, you know what? That's my calling, right? I mean, so for sure, I think we all figure out what our purpose in life is. And so, and your platform will evolve because mine has. I mean, we did the 3-on-3. I coach collegiately. I have Ivy League right now. I coach boys. And so for me, and a lot of that, I mean, I don't know if you guys remember, but Tom Ivy, my father,
definitely
was a community dude, right? And so, I mean, really, I'm just Maurtice Ivy 2.0. I mean, so that's what I seen growing up.
Yeah.
And then I also understand like those platforms and the importance of being able to give back to our kids, right? That's our future. And when you accomplish things on a high level, I feel like you're supposed to give back, right? Because what I recognize as a servant is that life is bigger than Maurtice Ivy, and so I am honored and grateful to be able to give back to our young people, and give my nuggets. And so why not?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Why not? Because where would I be if I wasn't doing that? So I'm honored to be.
Is basketball the only sport you ever played?
No, I played tackle football for Gate City Steelers with my dad's team. Played middle linebacker for 6 years.
Oh, wow.
I played fast pitch softball.
Okay.
I ran track. And obviously I hooped. I golf.
Okay.
And so, and I think that's one of the things like with Ivy League, I tell my parents is like, let your daughters get in multiple sports. I mean,
it's evolving.
Absolutely. I mean, and then it gives them an opportunity to work different muscles.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So if you hoop it all the time and you don't run and do some other stuff, then you just working those muscles over and over again. And so, I'm encouraging that because I was all around doing a whole lot of different things, so,
Yeah. So, sports. Why is sports important, or are they?
You know what? One of my mentors, my mentor right now is Bob Dannenhire, and we were kind of meeting in some meetings, and one of the things that he mentioned to me, he said, sports is like the porch of the house. Like, I mean, you get to the porch of the house, and the importance of the porch, being there before you even get to the house. I mean, like, it's super important because it just creates so many other intangible things that we don't even think about, that it brings. Like, we're in there, and if you get an opportunity to talk to some of the parents, you're going to hear them say how sports and Ivy League has given their daughter this level of confidence.
Oh, yeah.
And if we do nothing else, if we can validate our young women before they get out here in the streets, and then the streets try to validate them, then we're winning, and so sports is like those soft skills from communication, teamwork, working together, figuring out critically thinking about situations. I mean, so many invaluable intangibles that we don't even think about that we got that.
Basketball definitely creates like leadership because you're working with a team and things like that. So I definitely agree with you. Sports is important, but when you evolved into other sports, was it because you played those sports and you wanted to help the community with that, or you just thought you needed to evolve? You know what? I mean, I think we all should be trying to evolve, right? And so with Ivy League,
one of the things that we want to do with Ivy League is try to create feeder programs for, our school systems, whether that be OPS, the Q system, whatever that system is. We want to create feeder programs where we have players that are game ready. And so what we try to do is mirror some of the sports that they already have in the public school systems, and then be able to kind of create feeder programs for those systems where even if you get 3 or 4 girls that come out of Ivy League and they all go to Central or they go to North or they go to Benson or Bryan or wherever, they're going to come in with a certain skill set where if you have a good coach, then they should be able to enhance on that, And so for us, Ivy League is a feeder program. So if we could add more, we probably would, but I'm losing my hair with the 4 we got, so I'm going to just rock with the 4 we got.
Yeah.
You ready to start the show?
Let's go.
Let's start the show. So how it works is we like to have regular topics. We got to discuss Caitlin Clark. We got to discuss Ocho speaking on the young lady, and Angel Reese is her name, right? Angel Reese, and calling her the big bad wolf, and now you can't cry now. Let's watch the clip. We'll be right back.
Neutral, racially indifferent take. Now, if you want to say, well, Acho, cater your take based upon gender, Acho, cater your take based upon race, I will understand that. But I'm about to give a gender-neutral, racially indifferent take. Angel Reese, you can't be the big bad wolf, but then kind of cry like Courage the Cowardly Dog. Because if you want to act grown, which she has, if you want to get paid like you grown, which you are, if you want to talk to grown folks like you grown, which you did, post-game when you told a coach for an opposing team, watch your mouth. If you want to tell people, get your money up, then post-game when you take an L, you just got to take it on the chin.
Try to stand strong. Like, I've been through so much. I've seen so much. I've been attacked so many times. Death threats. I've been sexualized. I've been threatened. I've been so many things, and I've stood strong every single time. And I just try to stand strong for my teammates because I don't want them to see me down and like not be there for them. So I just want to always just know, like, I'm still a human. Like, all this has happened since I won the national championship, and I said the other day I haven't had peace since then. And it sucks, but I still wouldn't change. I wouldn't change anything, and I would still sit here and say, like, I'm unapologetically me. I'm going to always leave that mark and be who I am and stand on that. And hopefully the little girls that look up to me, and hopefully I give them some type of inspiration that, hopefully it's not this.
All right, so that's the clip. Maurtice, I got to ask you, what do you think about Angel Reese and how she responded to the media and how they treated her during her run with LSU?
So I think that what Angel Reese did for the game of women's basketball, we're talking about it right now. So if it wasn't a positive, then we wouldn't even be having conversations right now. I think, the process of how people go through things, we don't even know. I can't, I can speak on it and create my own narrative because that's what we do. We speak on it, we create our own narrative, and then it becomes our truth. But I don't know what's going through that young lady's head. I coach collegiately, and I can just tell you this, as a collegiate coach and as a collegiate athlete, there's a lot of pressures that you don't even know as a viewer, right? You're not even in tune with that, but it's really easy to give an opinion about it.
Facts.
And then, we gaslight everything, and so folks are kind of like, we jump on these wagons. Angel Reese, she did a fantastic job at LSU, and for women's basketball and women's athletics and women's sports, and so I take my hat off. There's some things I think as a coach I would have probably been like, hey, we got to tone that down a little bit, but we have created a platform right now with the NIL, and it's not going away, where you have the dynamic of trying to manage young personalities with money. I don't know what that looks like.
Just think if she never made that one gesture, would we be having this conversation?
Right.
What's your opinion, Cole? Because I liked your opinion last show when you was talking about Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark. Do you think that she was over the villain? Like, they tried so hard to paint this picture of her as this negative image, but to me, I thought Angel Reese was dope until that press conference when she said what she said. I didn't even know she felt that way. You know what I'm saying? I thought she was embracing the moment. What's your opinion?
Well, like I said last week, every entertainment needs an angel and a villain. So of course, in the game of basketball, it's literally when you literally choose a side of who you're going against or going with, of course your emotions is going to be more high then. So those people that's rocking with Angel Reese, they rocking with Angel Reese. Those people that's rocking with Caitlyn, they rocking with Caitlyn. But then you have those people like Ocho, is that his name?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You have those people who have built his platform off of devaluing just people in general. And unfortunately, black people is who he devalues. So now it's marketing. It's marketing. So he's just playing off of what Reese has put out there that she has been going through, those things. And so now when you put it out there, what do people do? To stay relevant, he's just playing off of now everything that she said. I don't somewhat always agree with, but the fact that he's devaluing her when she's in her vulnerable moment and can't enjoy just a championship. And it's just like, if she wasn't black, if she wasn't a woman, if she wasn't the highest paid NIL player right now. So to me, I look at it as, again,
She makes more than
Caitlyn. Right now, she's number one. But when Clark declares WNBA, I think her status, like I said last week, will go up. Again, I think it's just two women who just got caught up in the microaggressions of the media, and people are just playing on it. So
Maurtice, I gotta ask you, what you think about Caitlyn Clark?
She's a GOAT.
yeah.
Greatest of all time, or a GOAT in her own way?
One of the GOATs, because you have GOATs and you have levels of GOATs, right? I mean, and so for sure, I mean, she's doing work on that level, and so I got to give her props. Now I'm gonna say this, as a hooper, now I'm gonna have a different mentality about that whole thing, but what she's done on the collegiate landscape, I mean, you cannot give her props. I mean, so you can want to because the media makes you pick a side.
Yeah.
But as a hooper, I'm gonna say that she's one of the GOATs on the collegiate level.
Collegiate
for
level,
sure.
definitely.
Do you think that she really brought all that attention to women's sports, or do you think that it was just shifting regardless because of the NIL, because women are getting paid now? Do you think that she's the reason for the shift, or do you think women's sports was going to shift regardless?
I think the women's sports was going to shift, and it was timing, right? The timing of her evolving into and doing the things that she was doing, that time lined up perfectly.
Yeah.
Yeah, it did.
So, but it also lined up for South Carolina. It also lined up for Angel Reese. It also lined
Kill
up
Moki.
for Juju Watkins. I mean, it lined up for a lot of those players, and I'm happy for them. I'm going to celebrate that for them. I mean, the media's going to do what the media does because it's this big giant, and they're going to pick
And choose
yeah,
spots.
absolutely. And so they rolled Caitlyn, just like Nicole alluded to. You know what I mean? It's a marketing piece. And so we're going to have these villains and the angels, you know, not the angel white, I mean the Angel Reese, but the angels of, the game. And so,
Yeah. But it's been going on
ever.
in sports.
Come on.
I want to talk about how women's sport, to me, I think women's sports is becoming more real and authentic because women, I don't think they're for sale. Like, for example, the NBA. I don't think the NBA is real at all right now.
Right.
And like you said, as a hooper, even tonight, let's talk about tonight's game. I know Steph Curry. I watch games. Steph Curry turns it on, turns it off.
Yeah.
Like I told my lady, when you're that good, you can't tell me he out there airballing.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And like you said, as a hooper. So what I notice in women's sports is these women are playing passionate. These women are out there diving on the floor. These women ain't getting no check and being sold. They are literally out there with their heart and soul. So I think that's what the shift was for me watching women's sport. I'm like, oh shit, these women are really out here balling. And in men's sport, I think men's sport has become more watered down. Like, come on, let's be honest. LeBron James get touched on the head, fall on the ground. You don't get that in women's sport. You don't get flopped.
Caitlyn was doing that, man. I mean,
They
like,
protected her.
long.
Well, that's a little different. She's the Steph Curry of their league. But I'm saying, like, I really believe that women's basketball was so authentic this year that I became a fan.
Man, I loved it. I mean, you know what? I never post. I'm quiet on social media. I really am. but I watched that South Carolina LSU game at the beginning of the season. I had like they were hooping so hard, but the last couple years, quietly, you know, I mean, women's sports is women's basketball in particular. Because I watched that, I seen it turn the corner. And I mean, in a really nice way where, I mean, they the audiences that we're bringing right now, I mean, they're bringing more. I probably, and I don't know if this is a true fact or not, but the game, the South Carolina-Iowa game versus the UConn men and Purdue game,
was terrible.
Like, the numbers.
I fell asleep on the men's.
Man.
And to be honest with you, I think that women take their craft way more serious than these new generation cats. I don't know. I was in the gym shooting every day, and, you know. But I think these new cats, I really do. I'm talking about men. These new men, they don't really care about actually being a hooper. They're like a lot of men that's in sports these days, especially in basketball. They just out there, and that's what I'm saying with women. Like when these women was being left open for South Carolina, I'm like, that's good. That's good, because this is what they do. And with men, and like talking about the national championship with the men's, Purdue put up 2 3-point shots the whole game. Like, if you a real hooper, you gonna find a way to get your shot. I don't care how good a defense is. And I think that's the shift with men, is that I think that men is not perfecting their craft. I don't even think, like, look at Bronny. He's going to the NBA and he averaged 5 points a game. He's not an NBA player, but because his dad is who his dad is, he's going to them. You think Bronny's an NBA player?
No.
That's my point. But men have became vanilla.
Not yet. I don't think he has enough experience.
But so that situation with LeBron and his dad, like, is there any different than Peyton Manning and, you know, his brother, and it, like, I mean, so we leverage those situations that we have because society is pushed, in my personal opinion, like, it's about getting paid, right? And so if it's about being paid, it's about getting paid, then you're going to leverage every relationship that you got so that you can get to that outcome, right?
And it's so bad now, though.
It's horrible.
It's so bad now. It's even on the middle school and the high school level. It's all about scholarship now. It's all about literally going to get scholarship. And half the time our kids don't even position themselves to even be able to receive those scholarships because we forget the student athlete part. So it's so bad. I was just talking to somebody about how the fun of it can be taken out of it because it becomes such a money business. It's so expensive. I remember when we were trying to start up the AAU, and bless Coach Roper. But I remember when we were trying to start up the AAU team, we did everything we can to try to. But now it's so expensive just to.
Well, that's because
ridiculous.
a lot of these youth sports, it became a money grab. I know personally because when I was coaching, this cat wanted the parents to pay $150 per, and he wanted the jerseys donated. If you're not putting, like you do, if you're not putting anything back into the community, we know you're doing it for the love of the sport. It's not about grants. It's not about money. It's about Maurtice is going to do this with these kids, and she got to do it in her backyard. You just happen to be blessed in a position where you know some people, you're making these moves. Just like Nicole, when we came into school today, we wouldn't even be in this classroom if it wasn't for who Nicole knew. We'd have been sitting outside waiting for Maurtice Ivy. You know what I'm saying? But my personal opinion is with the sports, in the Bronny situation, because you mentioned the Mannings, and we got to keep it real, I'm a sports head. The Mannings was actually all really talented. And with LeBron, I'm just being honest. And with Bronny,
and I just used that because I was thinking.
But I was bad analysis because I'm like, oh. Well, because you can even consider MJ's son when he came out. I don't even think MJ's son made it to the league, did he?
Who?
Michael Jordan.
No.
I don't think his son made it to the league. That's what I'm saying. So when I'm speaking on Bronny and we're talking about how the difference in women's sports, because I want to get back to that. To me, women are really perfecting the craft of the sport, and they're taking it serious in school and on the court. And with these young players, like you see a LeBron James or you see a Bronny coming out, that's the prime example of why the men's sport is getting so bad. It's because these players we don't have Kobe Bryants. We don't have no MJs out there no more. We don't have don't get me wrong, MJ couldn't go left. He had a lot of issues when he came on the court. But we don't have those players that's out there really perfecting their craft and being good. Like even when you talk about the Purdue game, Edie had 2 moves. dribble, shoulder, dribble, shoulder. And I'm like,
But he's 7'4".
but you still should be able to hit a 15-foot shot.
He don't need much though.
I mean,
Well,
yeah.
To me, that's perfecting the
that's
craft.
a part of. I think that's a part of him evolving. Because I think of some of the big men like we think about Olajuwon.
Yeah.
We think about for
Ewing.
Georgetown.
But you see
Ewing.
how
Patrick
agile he
Ewing.
was?
Yeah, I mean
Ewing.
they were athletes,
Yeah.
right? I mean, but at the end of the day, I don't remember them hitting 15-foot J's,
Yeah.
12-foot J's.
Olajuwon?
Yeah, I mean, I don't remember.
He was a
them.
shooter. Elijah, y'all see.
Now, I know he had that drop step up and
Yeah.
under move, and he was banging around. He had a nice little 8 to 10, but
David Robinson, Yao Ming. I could give
Yeah.
y'all 15 big men right now that you couldn't leave open from
Okay.
17 foot and under. Tim
I'm gonna give
Duncan,
them that
Kevin
shot.
Durant,
I'm gonna give him that shot.
Tim
consistently.
Duncan,
yeah, because they
Tim Duncan was he shot
Yeah, he
that.
hit.
I'm just
Kevin
saying,
Garnett.
Kevin
Well,
Duncan.
that's
a
it.
whole
That's
different-
yeah.
Well, I'm saying like the men's sport is getting watered
Yeah, like them
down
is straight
because they're
six.
not. If they're big, they just automatically deserve a ticket. This is the first year I seen with the big guy Edie
Yeah.
that's coming out for Purdue. They was like talking about him like he wouldn't even be a top 10 pick, and I'm
Yeah.
like, you know why? Because the shorter players, and this is the truth. This is a fact. The shorter players are actually ground level, dribbling, working on the skills of the game,
Right,
and
right.
the big man is just in the league because they
he
big. You remember like Justin, the kid Justin from North? He was
Oh,
like
yeah,
6'7",
yeah.
but he was actually really athletic.
Yeah.
You remember? Like I'm just
Yeah.
saying, like the game is watered down. So again, and then another thing with women's, there's not a lot of bigger women. Like South Carolina was really a small team besides those two big girls that they had. So if you, when they and I felt like they was trying
You
to.
thought they were small?
No, they had two great big men, but they only put them in when the score got close because it was too easy for the bigger men.
You talking about South Carolina women?
I think South Carolina women.
The freshman point guard is
Yeah,
6
6 foot.
I know shit. I
Yeah, she's 6 foot. So I mean, I'm 5'9". Like I mean, so I would be considered like
Small.
really, really small, right?
Was
I
you always
6 foot-
5'9"?
No, I was 5'5", and then I jumped to 5'9".
I feel like the older
Okay.
you get, me and my girls having this conversation. The older you get, you shrink a little bit.
Man,
Like
you
even,
probably do, right?
like even with Jessica Salas, to me she was huge when I was in high school. Like she was fine as hell too.
She
She was fine. She was tall. She ran like a deer. But I bet you if I seen her now, she probably 6 foot.
Yeah, she's 5'11", I think. Yeah, so
You got any questions, Cole?
So I do. So if you have a young girl or any young people that's interested in sport and maybe just scared to even try a sport, what advice would you give for them? And then second part on your coaching, because we have coaches that work too, and then plus I'm a coach as well.
Yeah.
Being on that level, what advice would you give to someone who inspired to coach on that level?
you know what I think for our young kids, I think that there needs to be this experimenting, exploring, what you like, right? And it has to be something that you enjoy as opposed to your parents vicariously living through you, right? And so you gotta allow kids that level of freedom to where they can kind of like, I like this, right? And so, like I said, if you guys get an opportunity to talk to some of the kids, they're going to tell you, like their parents will tell you, like, she's trying to get here every single day. Like, Mom, you're making me late. She's into it and she wants to be here. And then you have those kids that you can tell that just, they're going through the motions, right? And so at that point in time, just release them and let them figure out what they want to do. It might not be what they might not want to.
But should you waste your time? That's another thing. So, and I hate to throw my family member out. My stepson, he's into wrestling. He's into football. But I'm like, when do you play football outside of the sport? Like outside of school saying football season over.
Yeah.
When do you don't even want to watch football?
Right.
You don't even want to. When I was a kid. I used to watch Michael Jordan videos and go on to practice his moves.
Yeah.
The kids don't do that now.
Right.
Your kids might, as far as who you got under you. But I'm saying, like, I think that's what the culture is missing in sports is kids don't want to do the work and they don't even want to watch the sport that they're playing.
But you know what? The kid, that's a microcosm of the world that we live in. Ain't nobody doing the work. I mean, so it's just kind of like we are imploding right now as a country, really, because we're not accountable. for a lot of things that we need to be accountable for. So sports is just a microcosm of how we operate collectively as a whole in our country. You know, and so I mean, yeah, so they're not putting the work in, but accountability is like that's something that's a personal decision.
It's either in you or not.
Absolutely, that's gonna be a personal decision, and so you want to try to teach it a little bit. But for sure, we live in a world that's so very different than the times that we came from. And so we have to kind of try to figure out how to go in there and still be effective because it's happening. And I don't think that we're going to be able to shift that big shift back. The ship is moving. And it's just kind of like, how are you going to turn it back, or are you going to fit in and try to figure some stuff out?
I think that the world is definitely getting dumbed down, and I'm about to say some very controversial stuff, but not that's going to affect you. That's why they're bringing in, and it's going to sound crazy. Y'all got to hear me out. That's why they're bringing in, this is where smartest dumb people turn into the smartest dumb people. That's why they're bringing in immigrants, is because the immigrants is willing to do the work that we won't do. Like, let's be honest, even the kids these days, they don't care about trades. Trades is what built America. Trade, like being a construction worker and being a plumber and being somebody that can build something. We don't even have people that know how, like architect. I had a friend that was an architect. I don't think I'll ever see a kid that wants to be an architect. So I do believe that.
To the kids' defense, are we exposing them to that?
No, that's what I'm saying. Their society is not.
We have grown folks
Come on.
that still don't have a clue of what they want to do. So
that's a fact.
we putting a lot of pressure on these kids to understand who they are, and we're not teaching. One, we're not exposing them to anything. And then 3, when we get them exposed, are we helping them navigate through that whole process so they can sustain? And so what I'm seeing is that we as adults, we blame the kids, or we throw these kids and we want y'all to do that, but we're not modeling it, or we're not exposing them to it. So my question to you are the kids being exposed to those opportunities?
No, they're not. You're right.
Yeah.
You're right. But also, I will say this. They're not being exposed to it because of things like video games. Now, this is going to sound crazy. These kids are now, and this is back to young men and athletes in the NBA and the basketball players. I found out that, and this is going to sound crazy as hell, I found out that with the 2K, the video game 2K, my son would have rather practiced and worked on his skill set on the video game instead of doing it in real life. So what happened was these video games became so imaginary that they're vicariously living through these games to where they can't navigate their life. You know what I'm saying? So how can I figure out life when I want to go home and play Grand Theft Auto and put 20s on my car and do all of the things when you can actually do that in real life, brother? So that's what I used to say to my son. I'm like, son, you spend about 5 to 6 hours on this game a day. You got a basketball game tomorrow. Go to the gym, spend those 2 or 3 hours in the gym. So that's what's happening in society too, even with sports. These kids are vicariously playing these video games. They don't want to go outside. That's why the NFL got a whole program called Go Outside.
Man,
We got to teach the kids how to go outside and play. And my daughter, my young daughter, Cammie, that's all she does. My girlfriend's daughter, that's all she does. And we scared to give her any type of device because but I tell her all the time, Cammie's stuck in like 1988. I'm talking about Project Kids. Like she don't got no video games.
Monkey bars.
Yeah, she literally at the park. But that also teaches kids life skills. Like you said with sports. Like with sports, I was a point guard. So I'm a natural, point guards are natural leaders. They just, and it's not aggressive. It's just that you know how to, like you said, navigate and be around. Today, the show, I'm a little uncomfortable in the seat. I said, pass the ball to Cole, said, run the show, Cole, you point guard. That's what you do as a person. And I think that these kids, they just don't have no tutelage when it comes to going outside, actually being active. I think what you're doing is amazing for the community. And you are a huge staple in the community and has been around forever helping these kids. So if you want to donate to the Ivy League, reach out to Miss Ivy.
Absolutely. Go to our donate page at Ivy League Youth Sports Academy for sure. You know what I wanted to talk about, like technology, because one of the next phases I think with Ivy League that I want to incorporate is some level of technology into it. Because what I realized that's their normal. Like I didn't grow up with technology. You guys might be, you're a little younger.
It was the start of it.
Yeah, you got the start of it, but I didn't grow up with it. I'm immersed in it now, but I also recognize that it's not going anywhere.
Yes.
And so I'm thinking about, like, progressively thinking about how do I incorporate technology within Ivy League into some capacity so that it's engaging for our sports. So we run an Ivy Strong program. And so we have like the VRs. I want to have it where the kids are doing some stuff with the VRs. I mean, you can see some of the commercials now where, you know, they got players playing against AI figures. Like, that's going to be the future.
Yeah.
And
we don't want that, though.
We don't want
that. Sounds terrible.
It does, but I mean, at the end of the day, it's going to happen.
You already
And
seen it
so
on the commercial.
You can do some things on a small scale, you know, where you still keep the kids engaged, because if you don't, and we can go in with the old school mentality, right? Because for sure, I have some levels of that, but I've had to grow too in that space. And so I'm saying it's here.
It's here.
And how do we do it to a certain degree where it's still fun for the kids, but you still get to the meat and potatoes of training and development, because that's what we're going to be doing.
I think that technology, because we was talking about dumbing down people, and if the older generations, which I love what you said earlier when we was talking about the South Carolina coach and how you can't always be old school, you got to learn how to work with these kids with what they got. But what's happening in the shift is, if we keep working and pleasing the kids, kind of like what you said, if we keep, I just want to go to an old school gym where they running lines. And I get what you said about the VR, because you're evolving with these kids. But I'm at the point in my life to where I'm too old. Look,
I'm older than you.
You know, but I'm saying you got to know when it comes to this basketball. I know what I'm talking about. It's kind of like when you said that, what you said about technology. You know what would be dope for your academy is sitting down on a green screen and having a little podcast and having the kids break down plays. And so where is he going on the screen?
And we do that. We have classroom.
That's dope.
Yes, we have
That's
classroom
dope.
Saturday.
We
so
got
we
some
do
comments
that already. Yeah. So I mean, we're doing some things, but I do feel like I'd love for us to have it where we're in the gym and Coach Stanley Don is in South Carolina, and she comes on the screen and be like, "Hey, Ivy League girls, this is," and share a message. Like, we trying to get to that point, right? I mean, to do some different types of things, because it's here, and you have to be able to use it, you know, to your advantage to still be able to teach. Yeah. And you know, as a teacher, you have to evolve too, right? Because I mean, for sure, I thought I was going to start Ivy League. We was going to be in Chuck Taylors and torn up T-shirts and, you know, bandanas, and we're going to be out here. And the kids was like, "Nah, Coach Ivy, what are you like? We not. They don't move like that." Like I was like, I'm so against the bling. Like, we're not going to be doing all this bling. Go out there in the gym and see what they look like. They all uniform, and I'm like, I lost that battle, right? And so this is kind of like, okay, but it's bigger than me. It's bigger and so it's about them. I want them to feel comfortable.
I love what you said earlier today when we was having a conversation before the show started. You said sometimes you just got to know when things is bigger than you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Did you play point?
Man, I ran a little PG.
Yeah.
You tell. PG, yeah, all of those.
Hey guys. Now it's time to say goodbye to all my Negro friends and Caucasians. Look, Ivy, give them your panhandles how they can find you.
Go to IvyLeagueSportsAcademy.com and .org and check us out. Definitely get your daughters in 4th through 8th grade, and we have volleyball, basketball, soccer, and golf. We would love to have you. We taking kids to the next level. That's what we do, and so I'm sharing nuggets. And I'm growing too. I'm evolving too.
Well, this is not going to be the last time y'all see us with Miss Ivy. Next time we come, we gonna make sure we interview some kids, and when she has a little league or a tournament going on, we would love to pull up and actually, you know, not host, but be a part of it just from the sideline and interviewing spectators and things like that. Look, this is the smartest dumb people. Anthony "That Dude" Johnson, Maurtice Ivy the Great, Coley Cole.
Yeah, love
y'all have a good night.
Thank you.
Hey, yo, what's up? Have you seen the Smartest Dumb People podcast?
Yo, are you dumb?
I'm getting smarter just thinking about it. Politics, sports, your mama, whatever. The Smartest Dumb People podcast cover everything. With Anthony "That Dude"